Hi friends, today we are going to learn how to access other application from your own applications. Alright, so in this lecture basically we'll be looking for the mechanism how to access other application from your application, as well as how to access the other components of your applications. So basically the mechanism is to use intent and intent filters to access the component as well as the other applications. So basically in this lecture we will be looking for the how the intent can be launched, how the intent object can be used for the launching other application. So here we know that when you are going to develop any applications, you will be specifying basically 4 different components of your Android application. So the name of this component can be given as a content provider, activity, services, and broadcast receivers. So if you are going to launch any application from your menu of your Android system, that means it will be as a launcher activity. So here we have used a launcher activity as a capital A, that is the center of this Android application, and it is going to launch the R resources. You can consider R as a content provider, alright, or you can consider R as a broadcast receiver, or as a services, and P as a content provider here. So what will happen here when you launch your application from the menu? So it will first enable the launcher activity that you have specified into the Android manifest.xml file. So from this you will after launching that particular activity, that particular screen, you will be transited to the other screens. You will be using activate other component of your application. So how to activate the other component of application, that will be handled by the intent only. Alright, so here after starting a service, as or you can consider it as a component, and you want to activate enable the capital A screen, so it will enable the capital A screen for your application. It will enable the S screen. Alright, so here if your Android application is made of different components, so how to activate those components, that will be handled by the intent only. So here there will be one basic example can also be given by. So if you have an application, if you have developed an application that will use the utility of your default mail client of your Android system. So suppose you have an requirements in such a way that you are going to compose an email for your friend from your own application. So you need to launch the email client of your Android system. So how to launch that email client? Alright, which are the attributes you must specify when you are going to compose that email? So attributes in terms of from email to email, the body of your email, as well as the subject of the email. So what you will do from your application, from your developed application, you are going to provide some data to that default mail client in terms of email IDs, subject bodies, or you can also write your subject and bodies of your subject and body of your email. So here what is and the default email client will also use the services of your Android system. Services in terms of network service, internet connection, right? So to send that email to your friend, you must require internet connection. So that internet connection will be handled by the network service, and that service will be as a one component of your Android system. So you must first check that service is exist or not to send that email. So you can check that service existence by using intent. Alright, so you must launch that service by using intent only. So here after you launch that default system client of your Android system, what your system email application will take care regarding the background services, alright, not your application. So here what will be who will take care regarding this transition and the activity of other component? The intent only, right? And as well as to launch the other application from your application, you will be also transiting between different component of your application inside your application. So that we will also use intent for those transition from one activity to the another activity, or to launch the component of our application. So for that we'll be also using an intent only, alright. So from this things you can observe that we'll be using basically two type of intent. One intent is used to launch the other application, as well as the second type of intent is used to enable the or load the other component, alright. So as we know that intent will be used to launch the other component as well as to launch the other application. So will be there will be a two type of intent. In the name of those intent, the type of the intent can be given as implicit intent and the explicit intent. So explicit intent is used to launch the component of the application. So you must specify the component name when you are going to use a explicit intent. While using implicit intent, you should not mention the name. There is no any idea for launching the name of the other application. So here what happen when you are going to use intent, in the sense implicit intent. So if you have suppose you have a requirement in your application that you are going to open a web page to the internet. So what happen when you will specify the action as a view and the data as a URL of that image, and you will throw this throw this intent to the Android system. So what actually Android system will do? Android system will identify the compatible Android system applications which will use to open this web page. In other words, Android system will search for the browsers that has been installed in your Android system. So that browsers can be also a Firefox and also be a Google Chrome or any other compatible browser that has those are available for the Android system. So your Android system will identify the compatible application, and it will show you the list of this application to you, in the sense to the user, and user will select those those application, and that application will open the whatever web page you have provided. Alright. So here in implicit intent, you will not be specifying the application name. Application name in the sense to your whatever application you are going to launch. So that application will be selected by the Android system, and it will be shown to the user in terms of list. If there are multiple compatible applications are available to handle your action. Alright. So suppose your Android system has only one browser, so it will not ask you for option. It will not ask you. It will not ask the user to select the option to choose between browsers. Alright. So if you have so if it also depends on the actions what would you do with your intent. So if you have action to compose an email, and suppose you have multiple mail client have installed on your Android system. So your Android system will give the option in terms of list that these are the email client has been installed in your Android system, and to whom with you want to go, and the user will select that option, and it will compose that email in that particular mail client, whatever has been chosen by the user. And data in the terms of the email ID is specified by that email client, the from email ID to email ID that you specified, that will specify in your application. So suppose you have one form, and in one form if you have from email ID to email ID and the subject of that email and the body of the email. So this is the data that you will pass to that particular application, and so that particular application will get this data from the intent, and it will set this data according to the email body, according to email structure. Alright, so yeah, intent is a mechanism to launch the other application. So here as I told you, there will be two type of intent. One is implicit intent and the explicit intent. So implicit intent, you are not going to specify any component name, while in the explicit intent we will be specifying the component name specifically, in the sense to which component you are going to launch or enable. So and this will be handled by in terms of implicit intent, the Android system is going to identify the compatible applications installed in your Android system. So there may be a question in your mind that how the Android system will identify the compatible applications. So when you are going to develop an application in Android, the manifest.xml file, you must specify the intent filter, and intent filter you must specify the attribute action. So if you have specified the action as a compose mail, so that means your application is capable to compose an email. All right. So suppose there are three applications installed in your Android system, in which in their Android manifest.xml file, inside the intent filter, action as a compose mail is available. So the Android system will give the user the list of these three applications. So it will be matched with the actions when any application throw an intent with the intent filter specified into the Android manifest.xml file. So if you have more doubts, it will be solved later when we are going to cover this implicit intent structures. Alright. Yeah, as again I told you that in explicit intent we will be specifying the component name explicitly. So your Android system will not take care regarding which are the applications are to choose to show to the user in terms of list. But here as you have explicitly mentioned the component name, so your Android system will directly go to that component. It will launch that component. It will not show you the list. It will not give the option to the user. Alright. So here, if you have specified internally that you are going to launch another activity of your class. So if you have three activity, in the sense three screen, in other words, if you have three screen of your Android system and you want to transit between one screen to other screen, so what should you use? You should use explicit intent with the parameter as a second activity. Alright. So if you have three activity, first activity, second activity and third activity, that means three screen. And if you want to move from the first activity to the second activity, you should specify the second activity name as a parameter to the intent object. So what your Android system will do, your Android system will directly transit to that second activity. It will not ask you which activity to choose from. Alright. So this is how your explicit intent works. So if you have activity just like that, if you want to launch for the multiple services, so you should specify the service as a parameter. So your Android system will automatically go to that service and it will launch that service. And just for the content provider and the broadcast system, you must specify the component name as a parameter to the intent object. Alright. So we will see the structure of the intent object when you are going to use it. So this is a basic source code of any intent when you are going to use. So the first case is example of explicit intent. So here you can observe that as a first intent is an object, intent is a class in Android system, and you are going to use that class to launch the other component of your application or the other application, right? So here is the first first thing is a example of the explicit intent. You have specified the first parameter is the current context of your application. The second parameter you have specified the second activity dot class. That means you have specified the source code of the source code of the component as an activity. In the second case, this is the example of implicit intent. So here you will not be specifying any component name. You will just specify the action and you will be specifying the class. Alright, in the sense C. Here in the second example you have specified the action, set action view, and you have also specified the class. Alright, class in the terms of their second activity. What should the second activity do with this intent? And after specifying this much component or this much action, you must activate that intent by using a start activity, and as a parameter you should pass the intent object, right? And here this is the second example of implicit intent. Here you have specified the action view, and you will be specifying the which component of the other application you want to launch. So here the component name can also be given as a fully resolved class name of the other application. So if see, each and every application will have one package, right? And inside that package you will be designing your activity. So suppose you have the one application has been installed in your Android system, and it has a package just like form.ipi.android.labs.main activity. If this is the main activity of that application, so how to launch that application? So when you are going to launch any application, basically you will be launching the launcher activity. So that activity will be working as a component of that application, right? How to launch? As we know that how to launch the component of other application by using intent only. So you must specify the component, a fully resolved component name, alright, into the intent object. So your Android system will take care to launch that component, and it will enable that component. That means you are going to enable that application from your application. And as we know, after specifying this much component, we will be specifying as a object, as a parameter with the start activity. Now the working behind the option the Android system is giving you to choose any application where there are multiple compatible applications are available to handle those actions. As I told you that intent filter is used for that. So suppose there may be multiple browsers are available in your Android system. So how the Android system will show that list of browser to the user when a user has one web page to open with? So your Android system will go to the each and every application's android.manifest.xml file, android.manifest.xml file. It will search for the intent filters if the developers of those applications has mentioned any, and if it finds that that intent filter, and inside that intent filter, if your Android system finds that it has an action as a action view or action any composed mail, so if it has action view, so it will select those applications, it will find the compatibility, and it will show that list to the user. So intent filter is just used to filter the applications based on the compatibility to handle the action with. Alright, so this is just the working of intent filter. You must specify in your Android manifest.xml file when you know that your application is going to handle this type of actions, right? So action, as I told you, action you should specify in this way. So there are some syntax available for action view, action main. Alright, so this syntax you must follow when you are specifying the intent filter for your application. So if you want to open any web page to your browser, to your application, you must specify the android.intent.action view. Alright. Yeah, so as we know, if you are going to use an intent, you must pass action as well as data, and you must specify the category in terms of launcher activity or any other default category, launcher category or default category. So as we know that when we are going to use the intent, we will be specifying the action as well as the data. So suppose inside the intent filter, suppose you have a music player and you want to open any mp3 file with that music player. So mp3 so you are going to access that application data, so you must specify inside the intent filter. Here we have specified data. Alright, so this data can also be is only accessible to the outside of that application context. Alright, so apart from this data, nothing will be available to that to the other application if they are going to use this application. So suppose you are going to launch any mp3 application from your application, so that means you will not be allowed to access to the other data which you haven't specified as a data tag inside your Android manifest.xml file, right? And yeah, so you must specify also MIME type of your data. Category is used to categorize your application. Suppose you have designed your application for browsing purpose, so you must specify the category as a browser. Alright, and there are some default category name are available in Android system. There's like default category, browser category, or launcher category. So the category as a launcher and the action as a main will work for all those activities who are the launcher activity of any application. Alright, now there are the rules for the intent resolution. As you know that for the explicit intent we will be only specifying the component name, while for the implicit intent we will be specifying the action, data, and the category. So action will be specifying what the other application should do with this data. Data will be data in terms of specifying the which type of data you want to manipulate with the other application, and the category in terms of which category of your data is. So while you are specifying the data, you must specify the MIME type as well as the URI. URI in the sense universal resource identifier. So that in that URI you must specify the scheme, hostname, port, path, and you must specify the scheme. Alright, in the sense how you are going to access that data. The host name, the fully resolved name can be given as a path name or path pattern. And the category you must specify is the browser category or launcher activity or default category. Alright, so this is how your intent resolution work when you are going to launch the other applications. Thank you for listening me.